Hey guys, welcome to episode 9 of Creative to Creative. I'm your host, Ray, aka Ram Create, and I am here with the prince of, of cosplay photography himself, fucking Marvin
Oh,
Squarenoodles, uh,
hello.
the king of noodles himself.
Ah. The
But
squariest of all squares.
the square of all squares. Just out of curiosity, why Square Noodles? Like, why that name, man?
Oh, dude, don't ask me. It's so boring, man. I got hung. Like literally the way it was, I just got so hungry. I remember editing, right?
Yeah,
I was like 16 hours every day, just
yeah,
like staring at the laptop, and it's like I had the only food I had, and I was living in like one small apartment back then, and
yeah.
like we just had pancit canton, right?
No, yeah,
We're
yeah,
Filipinos,
exactly.
so I have pancit canton, and I got so hungry. I'm just like, dang, it's like I've been editing for 8 hours now. I gotta eat.
Mm,
So at this point, I was like half delirious, right?
yeah.
And so I popped open like a pancit canton,
Mm,
water's boiling. I put the noodle on top,
yeah.
and then it's just like I noticed like it's square, and that's it. That's the whole square noodles. I was just like, what the fuck? So I was just like, I just kept saying it like square noodles,
Yeah.
square noodles, square noodles. It's like that has such a good ring to it. So from there on, that day, right, that day after I ate my noodles, I just made square noodles. That's it.
Oh man, and it's great because you Square Noodles has become such a brand name. When it
Mm.
like out of all the photographers that I've met in the scene, you're probably the most successful that's solely been cosplay.
Bro,
Yeah,
dang.
I've seen.
That's a great honor. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
legit. Like there's only a handful other people that um that could say that they have a house and whatnot with photography, but cosplay photography, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, that because because most people they go into portraits, fashion,
Mm-hmm.
weddings, but it's been cosplay and it's awesome seeing your growth. We first met back in 2016, and like was
You
it?
have a good memory.
Yeah, no, because was I think it was Barry too, because Barry was like, "Hey, have you met Square Noodles?" And I'm like, "Who?" And
Barry King? Barry
yeah,
King?
yeah, Barry
Oh
King,
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Nah," and I saw you had your your samurai ponytail. You're getting back to that,
Oh
man.
yeah. Back to long hair again, dude.
Back to long hair, man. And what was it? I met you then, chill cat, and then what was it? As I picked up a camera, you started skyrocketing, and people were like, oh, "Have you worked with Square Noodles? Have you worked with Square Noodles?" And
Mm.
I've started to see the amount of work you're putting in, and it was insane. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an origin story to all that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you guys haven't seen, check out his podcast, Soju Bomb,
Mm-hmm.
and there's actually episode 3, I believe, is
Yeah.
when they do a deep dive of your background and whatnot, and you're originally from the Philippines, uh, Iloilo specifically, correct?
Yeah. Wow. Did I mention that in the podcast?
Yeah, you mentioned it vaguely, but it's one of those things where
Okay. Okay.
I have family in Iloilo, so I was like, oh shit.
Oh, dude, that's nice.
Yeah, my dad and my stepmom, they have land at in between Rojas City and Iloilo,
Oh.
called Kiniyuya, and
Mm-hmm.
I would go visit every now and then. But then what was what were some animes that you've watched when you're back when you were a kid, in the Philippines?
Oh, dang, dude. So what? I mean, I don't know if you grew up in Philippines,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But animes there is very it runs differently
yeah.
because it's like there's only two major stations,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I can remember clearly the main animes. There's one or each station has their own exclusive deal, right?
Yeah.
So the animes that I watched, we didn't have a lot of variety.
Mm-hmm.
We were stuck with whatever they put on the TV.
Yeah.
So if you want to know what I grew up with,
Yeah.
it was a lot of Hunter x Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of let's see, Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called
Ghost Files.
Ghost Fighter.
Yeah,
Ghost
Ghost
Fighter
Fighter.
in
Yeah.
Philippines, right? Ghost Fighter in Philippines. Flames of Reka,
Oh, okay.
right? And then Slam Dunk, and
Yeah.
what else? Slam Dunk, and then there was one more. But yeah, so that was like the three things aside from Naruto. I mentioned Naruto, but
Yeah.
like I kind of like got a snippet of Naruto,
Yeah.
but I couldn't watch any of the other ones because they're on the other show or
Yeah.
the other channel.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's two channels, right? As much as I wanted to watch like anime, I couldn't. But those three I grew up with: Hunter x Hunter, Flames of Reka, and Yo Yo
Yeah.
Hakusho.
It's funny
Yeah,
because like when I
Slam
saw,
Dunk too. Sorry.
yeah, Slam Dunk too, because like the one thing that I thought was funny was that when I saw how they localized Yu Yu Hakusho as Ghost Fighter, and then like
Hmm.
Yusuke's name was like Eugene, and then like
Yeah,
fucking like Kuwabara's name was like was Alfred. Yeah, like
yeah,
it was Alfred, Vincent, and then like the funniest shit was
yeah.
Kurama, because they
Hmm.
named him Denise in in the beginning because they thought it was a chick, and then they went to Dennis.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. It's like when I was a kid, to me, I was like, oh my god, so cool, right?
Yeah,
Um, that's the thing. It's like I hardly remember any of the storylines for any of them, and it's just like I grew up with them. I just thought everyone was so cool, right?
yeah,
And then for sure, the when you said Denise, right? I was just like it was just like I didn't even realize that. But you're
yeah,
giving me like so much flashbacks, right? Because it's just like of my childhood. I'm just like, holy shit. I would be like freaking. That would just be like, you know,
yeah.
man. I remember those times. Dang, memories, man.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because like growing up with anime, it's like you there's that moment of chunibyo or like when you're delusional
Mm,
and you like you pretend like
mm,
you have like superpowers and you do it all the time around the house or like at school, and like
yeah.
you
Hmm.
do that with your friends and whatnot, and like those are like the fond memories,
Oh yeah.
you
You
know.
know, there's that guy right on
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
where he would power up as like a Super Saiyan, right? And I don't know if he was doing it as a meme or not, but we were doing it for real. We were just
yeah.
like, ah! We would be like on the streets, right? I'm just like, I'm freaking Goku and shit. And
Yeah.
holy shit, like it makes me laugh thinking about it because we actually did it for real. It wasn't like a meme or anything. We're just like little 7-year-old, 8-year-old just yelling. It was like, ah! It was
No,
fun.
no, for real, yeah. No, and because like that's probably the thing that like makes me really like going to anime conventions and cosplay
Mm,
and like is just being a nerd
yeah.
about these things, man. Like, and so you went from the Philippines to America, and
Hmm.
if you want the whole lowdown, check out their podcast. But
Hmm.
like, I remember that you said that you went to ALA back at the Marriott as your first convention.
Yeah, that was my very first con.
Yeah, like
That's fucking wild.
how was that? Like what was that vibe like?
Dude, it was nuts because it's like at that time I was at the age where I was exploring party life. I was
Yeah.
getting to know people. I was, and the thing is that I was I came from like a family
Mm-hmm.
where there was a lot of gangs involved, right?
Oh, okay.
Not family per
Yeah.
se, but like my cousins were involved in
Yeah.
gangs.
Oh, yeah.
Some of my titos and like uncles, titos, right?
Yeah.
They're part of gangs.
Yeah.
So for me, high school and middle school, there was a lot of gangs involved,
Yeah.
right? So I would like get in fist fights, get like into this weird dumb shit that kids get into,
Yeah.
So it was that,
Yeah.
but ultimately I was like you said, I was a nerd.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person who would just sit down, play video games, would go ahead and do animes
Yeah.
all day long.
Mm.
I'm not, like whatever I did at school, I did not enjoy it. Like I'm not a fighter, man. Like
Yeah.
I can throw a fist.
Yeah.
I can
Oh,
throw
yeah.
a fist. Yeah.
Trust.
But I can't. I don't want to. I don't want to fight. It's like that's not me. I'm not that kind of person. But if I have to, then I will.
Yeah.
But when I entered that like first year of ALA, it was just like, what the fuck? You're trying to tell me that there's people who loves anime at the same time could get shit faced until 4 a.m., wake up at 7 a.m., and then get shit faced again nonstop? Like, oh my god, that was ALA.
Yeah.
And I fell in love since. It's just
Mm.
like it was amazing.
Yeah.
I was happy that was my first year, and the thing is that from there on, it's I met this group
Yeah.
that, they were a bunch of group. They were just did a bunch uh, of meetups and all that. They
Yeah.
were heavily into anime. They did a lot of um, activities, which a lot of like group bonding,
Yeah.
right? But then heavily they they were really just a bunch of people who had the same hobbies and then same interest,
Yeah.
Japanese culture, video games, and dance and all that.
Yeah.
So I met them. They introduced me to ALA, but then once I met ALA, it just opened up an entire world for me.
Yeah.
And then that's when I'm happy that I actually went there, because that was the first year that I met John Gigi. I don't know if
Yeah.
you know John Gigi.
Probably. Yeah. No.
Yeah, so John Gigi, they're just like, oh, God bless them. I love them. They're like one of my very first conference.
Yeah.
And it's they just treat me to such a good time
Yeah.
at ALA that year, and they were the sole reason why I fell in love, because at one point it's just like anime nerd stuff in the daytime, and then nighttime it's just all out party.
Yeah.
And from there on, I had such a different view of the world,
Yeah.
that I don't have to involve myself into gangs or
Yeah.
delinquents in
Yeah.
that matter, right?
Yeah.
to party. But yeah.
I feel that because like I'm gonna bring this back because like what is it? If you want to see some nice hands, this motherfucker right here, like I saw your boxing videos. And you were throwing hands. You had the footwork and shit. And like I was like, okay, man, this motherfucker could throw hands. Like, how did you like? Okay, so like I imagine that you got into boxing because of the upbringing and whatnot. But like, was it like how many years have you put into boxing and like do you still do it?
I don't do it anymore because again, it's like there's really no reason to. But I've kind of like the environment is different now.
Yeah.
I don't have to. I mean, I want to get back to it just in case, right?
Yeah.
But back then, when I was in middle school, there was a lot of fighting. There was like in order for you to get the girls, you gotta learn how to fight. In order for you to in order for you to get in order for you to not get beat up in school, you know how to fight. So that way, bullies would leave you alone. I'm like, shit, that dude knows how to fight. We can't pick on him, right?
Yeah.
Right. When you're walking around, there's people who just like wants to mess with you, right? You got to be able to defend yourself. So there was a need to just learn how to fight.
Yeah.
And boxing was one of the things that I took. And, because that's, you just learn how to punch, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just like, it was the easiest thing. You put on wraps, you put on gloves, and then you start hitting something. And then you condition yourself to hit something. But it was one of those things where it was on and off, right?
Yeah.
So I would go ahead and get really, really motivated to do boxing.
Yeah.
And then it would be a good stretch for about 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
Then I would go and kind of rest, but then come back again. It was always something that I came back to because like photography, it's once it sticks or once it sticks, it kind of keeps going back. So even now, like I still have jump ropes and I still have gloves, and then I'm gonna have boxing like heavy bags installed soon.
Oh, nice.
So I want to get back to it, just for like health reasons. So yeah, that's I did it on and off from middle school all the way down to college.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't always consistent, but I just want to keep like power in my hands. Exactly. So it's like when I get in trouble, I know I can knock somebody out, and that's it. That's it. I just want that. I don't want to get into this like 5-minute MMA fight or anything like that. I just want to be able to be like someone comes up to me, knock them out. It's over, right? That's the philosophy. Like end it as soon as possible. Yeah. So
no, because like that's the cool thing. Because like whenever I meet a photographer and like they're good at their craft, they tend to have like a craft that they did before that like that built their craftsmanship. So like for you it was like boxing, and then you got into photography. For a really good photographer, his name's Zhao Kao. He started as a skateboarder.
God, I love him.
Then became a photographer. I was a drummer before I became a photographer. So
yeah,
it was like you you build a skill set, and then like it translates into photography because you have a lot of like different ways you could experiment and have fun with clicking a button, you know. So when it like I watched the podcast, and the thing that you said that like when you first got into photography was that like when you were at conventions it was just an icebreaker for you, you know, like
This really was.
yeah, like you like rather than like say like I'm gonna take these photos, I'm gonna like have this be like my internet like identity. It was more of just like, hey, you want to take some photos? I don't want to be the awkward dude that's staring at you right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
speak on that. Like how like what was it? Because like that's like totally counterintuitive to any to like most how anybody gets into photography lately. You know?
Like again, when I first got into the convention and this like new world just opened up to me, right? And then I when I started, I just really wanted to make friends. That's
Yeah.
all it was. I just really wanted to, connect with people. Even now, it's just like that's my main passion. The reason why I do photography is just to connect with people.
Yeah.
Um, just taking the photos is just, chair on top, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that if there was a way for me to meet people without needing to put in too much effort or without them being all awkward about it, or the same thing for me, like without me coming off as a creep, like
Yeah.
that's a big deal, because it helps the process of being able to connect faster,
Yeah.
right? So I'm just like, hey, can I take a photo of you? And then like, oh, I showed it to them. It's like, oh, these are really nice. You look really cool. I love your cosplays, all that. What my friends and I are having a party or get together, right? Love to make friends. This like my first year.
Yeah.
So that's when it a lot of people, man, ALA, it's like that was my first year. I didn't know how the whole convention works. I don't know the etiquette or anything like that. But that was my main approach. I know it could come up creepy. Of just like some dude wants to go ahead and meet up after the thing, but it was just like it's a whole lot better than just like going up to your cold approach and be like, hey, you want to party together?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I feel that, man. Like, cause like,
yeah,
cause like, you went from that, and then like there. Shout out to my boy John, John Woo. There was pictures of like ALA 2016, 2015, probably one of those years. And then I saw a picture of you, like it was like opening ceremony, and you had like a PVC rig, like
oh my
like
God.
were you, like was that for video? Like what what was that for?
Oh
like,
my God, it's that was so long ago. I forgot about it. So, I was going to conventions, right? So what happened was that there was this, I was taking my camera. So, context was why I did that was that I had a camera.
Yeah.
I borrowed it from my cousin, and I lost it. I basically left it on the train.
Yeah.
And then so I couldn't do photos anymore, right?
Yeah.
But it was, since I couldn't do photos anymore, I still wanted something to do to fill up some form of like creative, right? And then photography was never in my mind. That what I wanted to do in convention was to take photos. After because even then, like when I was taking photos, it wasn't meant to share. It was just meant to connect to people, right? I had no intention of uploading these photos to the world.
Yeah.
It was just meant to just take photos.
Yeah.
To connect. That's it. That's all it really was. So if we shot and at that time you were not gonna see those photos. Those photos are ugly as fuck.
Yeah.
So it's just like I showed it to you. I was like, is this cool? This and that, right? I'm like, I wasn't,
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, that's cool. No, it was shit.
Yeah.
So I like videography was so big back then.
Yeah.
It's like the idea of like minute high or same day edits. Kim was doing it.
Yeah.
Same day edits. It's like beautiful videography, like slow mo's, whatever. Like it's evolved so much now. But I was like, I want to do this, right? I want to do this. Like what can I do to make this happen?
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm a broke person. I had no money, right?
Yeah.
But people were just like, oh, make your own camera rig, right? For stability, whatnot, whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I was like, cool. I was like, I can make one out of PVC. Easy peasy, $10. I love it, right?
Yeah.
So $10. And then I was just like, camera, what do I need for camera? I have my phone.
Yeah.
It was a good phone, the best camera phone out there. Because I wanted a phone, and then at the same time, I could just make it happen.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool, made a PVC rig out of my phone, and I was just like, I'm just like, it was in my head. I was like, oh my god, like everybody was like, dude, that's a good rig, blah blah blah. I was like, damn, I felt so good that I invested like $10 on this.
Yeah.
But then I was just like looking back at it, damn, I look so dumb. I was just like, all right, let's do that. Yeah.
Just driving your spaceship.
Yeah, it's like, it was so fun. But, there was something to say about me. It was just, I guess, the idea of me having so much confidence, and like, I had so much fun doing it that people somehow, some way was like captivated by it, right?
Yeah.
I'm just like, how can this person be having so much fun with this like little toy, right? And I feel like that turned out great for me. Like whenever I feel like I'm doing something good, like I feel good. So like people feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So it just, when people say, oh, I radiate positive energy, I feel like that would be like a good example for myself, because sometimes I'm like, how do you mean I radiate positive energy? But I think I just have the confidence to do the dumb things that people don't want to do. But I enjoyed it. I wanted to make a couple of videos, and it happened.
Yeah.
So I originally wanted to be videographer.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted to be like videographer instead of photos.
Yeah.
I want, like, the main thing was that I want to build a successful YouTube channel based on videography.
Yeah. No, and like that was like when I first started. Like, I initially was a videographer. I would just grab random people and make skits and whatnot. And like I would have this little shitty like glide cam and like all that. But it was, and like I would just have people just hit my camera, and like I would just spin it. Like that was like my thing every fucking con, like, for a minute. But it's crazy because we went from being hobbyists to like getting serious about this. And like, and like and like you, me, Charles, was a lot of people in the scene just got like hyper this went on this training arc in 2017 where everyone like we went from like just hobbyist shooters to like fucking shooting at higher levels. And like
I remember that phase where everyone was just like grinding, and I love that really motivated me. I remember posting every day saying like, I'm happy to be surrounded by people who's like just want to grind, and it was very motivating.
Exactly. And because it was like before 2017 2016 it was very much every man for himself. There was a handful of like pockets of like of community, you had Brian and Richard's Soju Beats down in San Diego. They had their community down there. You had a pocket of people here in LA, but we weren't really a community until like 17 hit, and like we all started to know each other.
There was like, I remember so clearly. I remember it happening right before my eyes. Right, it was like I saw it, and I kept wondering like, why aren't people talking? Why aren't photographers talking to each other?
Yeah.
Right. Like, we're all photographers. We all go to the same con. We all shoot the same people.
Yeah.
Right. How come there's this weird kind of distance between all of us? And then whenever I see a photographer, I've seen in the other con, I'm just like, I want to say hi, but people like look at me and then like look away. I'm just like, I wonder what that was.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, it was like there was this underlying need or want to be like, okay, I'm thinking this. I can't be the only one thinking this, right? Because it's such a common occurrence to my head. Eventually, everyone's gonna start thinking the same.
Yeah.
And that's when slowly and surely, it was done. It became like a community to the point where CPA happened.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Cosplay photography.
Cosplay Photography
Alliance in SoCal.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody would do um, shoots and all that. But I was kind of ahead of the game per se,
Yeah.
because I had this philosophy that if I'm gonna put in so much of my work or my time and effort, I want to be able to just do this and make money off it.
Yeah.
That's really what it was. It's just, I've invested hundreds of dollars on this camera,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then in the end, I don't want it to just be like used as a hobby.
Yeah.
I want it like it's an investment from here on out.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this lots of talk where people in the East Coast, I'm like charging hundreds of dollars per session, while in the West Coast, people were doing it for free.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, what the heck then? How come they were charged? How come they're charging over there, and then we're not over here?
Yeah.
I understand we're a community. I understand everyone's happy, but at the same time, it was just like I'm not okay with that,
Yeah.
in that sense that, you know, like I put in so much time and effort. The same thing. Like cosplayers put in so much time with their effort.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're gonna spend so much more time in it to the point where like you're treating it like a career, you might as well get paid as if it's your career.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because like in those moments, there was like this meteoric rise of Squarenoodles. Like you put in work, like
I did.
yeah, you put in hella work, and
Yeah, but
like,
I didn't realize it at the time.
yeah,
I thought it was just so normal to me.
yeah, and like you were like what, a year and a half in. I was probably like 6 months in, and then
Mm-hmm.
in there's like this weird thing between being hobbyist to being a professional,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like the grind to get to there. And I was discussing it earlier, but like it was like just numbers were so hyper. You're so hypersensitive to numbers, and you're
Mm-hmm.
so
Super.
super hypersensitive to numbers, hypersensitive to traffic, and there became this thing of like, rather than it being a community, there was like animosity being built up
Mm-hmm.
towards people that were like making this like what is it, financially viable, and you were one of them. And
Mm-hmm.
I could we're chill now.
Yeah.
We are definitely like on the same page. Like we're on our grind, and we're having fun doing it. But it was like there was a moment where like the animosity took over, and I was like, yo, fuck Squarenoodles, dog. Like he was such a dick to me. But like now it's like, what was it? You were in that grind, and you were hustling to get like a bigger clientele, and
Mm-hmm.
and for me, and you could talk on this. There was a moment where like you're like, all right, yeah, fuck Ray too. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was a moment I was like 6 months in, and then like
Yeah. Yeah. I actually want to touch base on that, because I just want it to be clear. Like I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever showed you my side of the story,
yeah
and I know for some odd reason, I mean, I could understand why you feel that way to me, because I was definitely like the dick 1st.
Mhm.
But I in the end, just to clarify, it's like, like you said, like I grinded, right? I grinded for that time.
yeah
That was my lifestyle. All I did was like work, go to conventions, edit after work, like 16 hours a day,
yeah
right? On top of working. So I would even edit at work, right?
Mhm.
So I was working on top of working. So I put in all this time and effort, right? And then you came in, we were all shooting and all that. And then you said something that like just rubbed me off the wrong way. I'm just like, why is this guy saying this, right?
yeah
And then you came, like, I remember you saying, it's like, yeah, Marvin was like, I admire your work, dude. But, I'm like, we're like in the same level. Like, I'm like, your rival. You're my, you're my Gary Oak. Yeah, Gary Oak, right?
yeah
To my Ash Ketchum.
yeah
And in my head, I'm just like, bro, like, it's like, I've been shooting for like a year and a half,
Yeah.
and you've been shooting for 6 months. There's like that 1 year that I spent 16 hours a day. I felt like just got yeeted of like existence. I'm just like, bro, it's like we're in my head. I'm just like, we're not in the same level.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm just like, my ego just got hit so hard,
yeah
and I couldn't accept it. I was
Yeah.
just like, fuck this guy. I'm just like, what the fuck is this guy saying? it's like like I
Yeah.
love Justin, right?
Yeah.
I would never go up to Justin and be like, Justin, you're my rival. We're in the same level. And I've just been shooting for like a year and a half, and Justin's been shooting like Justin is like full blown, wedding photography, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Justin would have been like, "What the fuck are you saying? Get the fuck out of here!" So I felt the same way. Like literally
Yeah.
when you said that, I was just like trying to process what you said, and I
Yeah.
was just like, "Oh shit!" Like, okay, like I felt so like I don't know undervalued.
Mm.
That's when the
Yeah.
animosity between from me came up.
Yeah.
Like I should have explained that to you. I'm like, hey Ray, I appreciate you like kind of like seeing me as this person,
Yeah.
right? But I should have said that I felt disrespected, so that way
God.
we could have hashed it out.
Yeah. Exactly.
I didn't, yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't tell you, right? But it was just like for me in my head, I was just like, I don't have time to like
Yeah.
think about this because I'm working. Like I got edits to do, but one thing that happened because I didn't let that out to you or I didn't like talk it out with you.
Yeah.
It ended up plaguing my mind. It ended up creating my like this animosity towards you,
Yeah.
and then everything you were doing was like fuck that guy. I hate his work. I remember. Yeah. So it's like really like my ego was super acting up. I was
Yeah.
just like,
Oh
I
yeah.
could have just
Yeah. No. Like legit. Like because like when that was happening, it created this huge chip on my shoulder. It was like okay, it's like that. Okay, it's on. Like I'm about to put in
yeah.
all this work. Watch, and then like
Mhm.
and I go like I'm gonna travel to Sakura Con. I'm gonna go Katsu.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
travel. I'm just gonna put in this work. And then
Mhm.
what is it? There comes a moment in every creative because like in that moment of animosity between you and
Mhm.
me, it was just that like we were just putting in work, and like
Mhm.
rather than like break down the ego and like and break bread and like make peace, it was more like watch this work. I'm gonna blow you away with
Mhm.
this next set, or like
Yeah.
you can't like
Mhm.
what is it? Because I can't match your editing style, and I can't and like the attention to detail that you have
Mm.
on that, and plus like your direction with doing the female body and the male body, like both equally
Mhm.
phenomenal. So it's one of those things where like you definitely have like all these strong suits that I was like I could do that, but then like but then like I'm like no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's Marvin's forte. But um
Yeah.
in all that, it's one of those things where like they're like that animosity was heightened by the anxiety of numbers and like and
Yeah, for
traffic,
sure.
and then
Mhm.
when all of that fades away, and like it's sort of like who has your back, you know,
That's true.
and like who really is like in it for your interest, and like when people started like saying all these things about you,
Mhm.
like spreading a lot of like animosity towards your name because like
Mhm.
your success is like unprecedented by like a lot, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of words being said about you, and I'm like, my squabble with Marvin, but dude, like I know you as the guy that would go into the middle of a hotel room of a party that he's hosting at 1 a.m. go like, hey guys, announcement, be as loud as fucking possible, have a fucking lit time, enjoy yourselves, and like that's the Marvin I know,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, dude, I'm totally for that. Like I mean, you know, in that sense, in terms of partying, right?
yeah,
I'm very accommodating. I always worry about what people feel in terms of, if they're having fun or not, whatnot.
yeah,
Because it's like in the end, I'd rather um accommodate to people.
yeah,
I'm very accommodating. My entire business platform is like carried on the idea of accommodation,
yeah,
right? Whatever you need, whatever I can do to make it easy for you. You want last minute shoots? I'll make it easy for you, right?
yeah,
So in the end, so going back to the idea of there's a lot of animosity with me and my business.
yeah,
People have come up to me and just like, hey, there's a reason why we don't invite you to parties and this and that.
mm-hmm.
And like people have come up to me and said like, we don't like hanging out with you anymore because you're too business minded. Like we can't have fun with you around because
Yeah.
all you want to talk about is business, right?
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm just like, that's fair. You
Mhm.
know, it's like you don't have to put up with me, and it's okay if you know you don't want me around,
Yeah.
right? At most, I apologize because I'm not treating our friendship like a friendship. I'm treating you like my business partner,
Yeah.
right? And it shouldn't ever be that way.
Mm.
I shouldn't ever have to like people shouldn't have to deal with me if they they don't have to,
Yeah.
you know. And I can accept that. Like
Mhm.
I apologize to those people. Like, hey, I apologize that I was being like this to you, right?
Mhm.
But on the flip side, in my head, I'm just like, this is this is it. This is it for me. Like this is between me and my livelihood.
Yeah.
And it's stressing me out so much to the point where it's like I want to be able to make this work so I could eat the next day,
Exactly.
right? And people didn't realize that about me. People didn't realize that on my come up, even though on the surface it was all good going, people didn't realize that I had it really bad
Mhm.
in behind the scenes. I was in a stressful like relationship at the time,
Yeah.
and then we weren't progressing.
Mhm.
So I had to do everything that I needed to do in order to progress. And like I apologize to everyone if it came to their expense. When I had to go into the party and I would vent out my frustrations on them, I completely apologize. I
Yeah.
shouldn't have, but that's the kind of person I am.
Mm.
I'm changing now.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best not to do that anymore. I still do it all the time,
Yeah.
but in the end, I hashed it all out with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know that people were talking mad shit about me.
Yeah.
I didn't even know people were like had this hatred about me. I didn't find out later on until I decided, like until I got off that stressful relationship,
Yeah.
and then until I started making a lot better progress,
Mhm.
and I started to feel like a more positive person
Yeah.
because all that stress, negative feelings, they're all gone
Yeah.
because I'm no longer worried about finances. I'm no longer worried about what am I going to do the next day so that way I could pay for bills and all that.
Yeah.
I no longer have to worry about that. And then when people started seeing that I became more of like a more friendlier person,
Yeah.
that's when they wanted to associate with me again because that's what they want.
Yeah.
They want a friend. So when people were coming up to me and be like, "Hey, this is the reason why we weren't talking to you. I apologize if you didn't, if we're not inviting you anymore." In my head, I'm like, "Dude, completely understand. Even if you invited me, I probably wouldn't
No.
have attended anyway
Yeah.
because all I could focus on was work. That's
Exact.
all I could focus on."
Mm.
So it goes back to that idea that I understand why there is a disconnect. I understand why people see me differently.
Yeah.
I understand why people is so willing to paint me as this person
Mm.
who isn't a friend because I really wasn't. I really wasn't a friend.
Yeah.
I was just business. I was just all about business.
Yeah.
And I can accept that. There
Yeah.
was a time in my life where it was 2 years of just pure business
Yeah.
solely because I wanted it to work
Mm.
and it worked out.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Mhm.
a testament to that is that the raw amount of work, the clientele that you've developed, and your living situation now is like day and night compared to like how I first met you. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
You
Like.
should visit, Ray.
Oh,
Like,
what's up, dude?
oh
Like.
my god, dude! Like, this place is huge. Like, if you visit, we have an entire guest room for you. So, like,
Oh,
you should
fuck.
definitely come
Oh yeah,
to
most def,
Vegas.
dude. I'm with it because like,
Mhm.
plus like Filipino side like Vegas or sorry your place. I'm like I'll I can edit that out, but
Yeah.
but like I you know gambling side I'm with it. But
Oh yeah,
yeah
for sure. I
yeah
mean, I'm a gambler too. So,
what you
well, used to be a gambler, but not anymore.
now I feel you like oh my gosh all right aside from that thank you for the invite like I'm with it
Yeah, sure thing.
like because like it's one of those things where like that grind like at the time when I was coming up and I saw that, and like, what was it, the disconnect that happened, because like you were just focused, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
and like I couldn't see that you were focused because I was focused on my own thing. So like,
Mm-hmm.
so it was like on site of like, okay, well, if this guy doesn't want to fuck with me, like, cool, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
make my own shit. But
Mm-hmm.
there is this weight that gets tossed off your shoulders when like you're creative and you quit paying attention to numbers, and you
Yeah.
know, like, there's that aha moment, like there, like,
Mm-hmm.
I the first AX that I went to con, and then I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the fuck square noodles like mantra in the back of my head, like, I was shooting so free,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
and it was one of those moments where like I wasn't like paying attention to like the petty shit that I had in my head. It was more of
Mm-hmm.
just like, I just wanted to create and I just want to have fun with it, and like, if
Mm-hmm.
people see this work, like, cool, and like if
Yeah.
people want to work with me, cool. But yeah, no, like, what, like, lately I've been seeing that with you, where like
Yeah.
you're like the creative limiter is off, and you're just going for it, you know.
Yeah. There was this. First and foremost, I apologize if I ever like. I apologize if I was the direct reason why you were in this situation. I'm just like, fuck, I just want to prove Marvin wrong, right? When we could have so easily
So
hashed
just
it
like,
out, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we could have just easily just talked it out. But no, I totally feel you when you say that the moment people stop worrying about numbers and like they realize that numbers isn't everything,
Yeah.
there's this just joy of wanting to create and connect to people, and that's what's exciting.
Yeah.
In the end, if you get caught up in like always trying to make numbers, it's gonna fucking ruin your mind, because the only thing is like, what do I need to do? Like, you're gonna go into this state where I did for 2 years, where I was miserable because the only thing I could think about was numbers, 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 numbers.
Hmm.
And it's like thinking about numbers and engagement and, um, followers and all that. It builds up this idea
Hmm.
that every second you need to be growing, and that's really really toxic to your mental health.
Most definitely.
That's something that you shouldn't be in that cycle.
Yeah.
You The philosophy that a creator should have is that I'm going to create the best thing that I can at this moment, and everything else will follow.
Yeah.
And I've had that realization, like, maybe like just last year.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and it's like, I don't have to worry about, like, I shouldn't worry about numbers. I just want to be the best photographer that I could be,
Yeah.
and everything just followed. And when that happened, I was creating good work,
Mm.
because I had, the only thing I was focused on is just like, cool, I got to remove that pimple. That pimple's gonna disappear. That's
Yeah.
it. I wasn't worried. Yeah, I was like, the moment I hit 25K
Yeah.
like likes on Instagram, I stopped caring about numbers, because in
Yeah.
the end, it's just like, okay, like, once I hit 25K, what's my next goal? 100K. How am I gonna feel once I hit 100K? The
Yeah.
same, the same feeling when I hit 5K.
Exactly.
It's like, it's never ending. So why would I put myself in that cycle?
Yeah.
It's like, in the end, I'd rather be like, I'm gonna go ahead and like focus on my work. I see this work and it's improved. If I see my next work and I've improved significantly, I'd be so much happier, because knowing that I created something that's worthwhile to others.
Yeah.
Because when you look at my photos, I'm like, dang, that's really good photo,
Yeah.
right? Rather than, if you see my number, people will think about it like, damn, I know, like, I want to go ahead and reach that number too.
Yeah.
It creates the type of um, feelings that's created between numbers and art is different.
Yeah.
One is like adoration. One is like, oh my god, like, that's so nice, right? Like,
Mhm.
this is like, I want to be able to create beautiful art like this. Rather than, if you think about numbers and you want to reach certain numbers, sometimes it comes with like, dang, I want to reach that number because I want to make this much money. It's like, it's greed. It's
Yeah.
the sense of like self-interest, right? Because
Mhm.
like, once I reach that number, I can go ahead and make more money. I can get more clientels. I can do this. I can do that, and it puts you in this trap of me, instead of like, what can I do to create things for people, for others.
Yeah, most definitely. Because
Mm-hmm.
like rather like the thing that I sort of just value how I evaluate creators and whatnot and creatives is that it's one thing to have numbers on Instagram and it could correlate to this, but it's the strength of network that a creative has. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like it's one of those things where if you're a photographer, like if you have a healthy network and you have a healthy
Mm-hmm.
clientele that it's not solely like, oh, you're the photographer that gets me free photos, like that's our
Mm-hmm.
relationship. It's like you have a healthy clientele and that
Mm-hmm.
and also like you have different um, foots in different industries, then
Mm-hmm.
then it shows that you have like a healthy photographer network. uh, for you have like the craziest coolest like clientele
Mm.
in photography, and like the things I want to talk about is like, how did you land that sneaky photo shot? Like, Jesus
Yeah,
fucking Christ, man.
Sneaky. I love shooting for Sneaky, man. It's
Mm.
like I have to edit his like today. It's actually due today, so I have to after this call. I'm gonna get on it. Right? Fuck.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me. But no, it's So the idea is that whatever you do, there's certain levels, right?
Hmm.
There's levels to every single thing that you do,
Yeah.
and then you have to abide for to every single rules for every single art. Like
Yeah.
you can't cut corners. You have to follow those rules. You have to be the best at the game while still maintaining that rule. And each time you climb up to certain levels.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, you know, when they're starting out, the first thing they want to do is like, I want to go ahead and shoot the best model I could be. I will pay for it, and then I'm gonna create art. I'm gonna be popular because of that,
Yeah.
right? And that's such a wrong mindset,
Hmm.
because once you shoot with like a really really good model, and then your photography or your art is like not in the same caliber as they're expecting,
Yeah.
it's only going to leave a bad mark, right?
Yeah.
It's better to just start small, work with your friends and all that, because they don't have the same expectation as you,
Yeah.
or the same expectation of others,
Yeah.
right? If you hire a really popular model, right, and in the end you posted those models, I'm like, oh, like he's shooting with this model and then it didn't come out right. It's like,
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
and I'm just like, so there's certain levels that I had to do. So I
Mhm.
definitely, I'm not saying that I'm using people as a stepping stone. I'm not,
Yeah.
because the same model that I've worked with from the start are the same models I'm working with now,
Yeah.
right? It's more of like, hey, we're gonna grow together, right?
Yeah.
And then you're helping me out by letting me shoot you every single month, right? And at the same time, I'm helping you out by giving you cheap
Yeah.
quality photos, right? And then on top of being consistent, all that. And so as time goes by, more and more model, I've gotten to know and associate myself with more models,
Yeah.
because my work is consistent. My work is, it's always on top of consistency.
Yeah.
I've done my best to do right by my models.
Yeah.
So word gets around that, oh, I'm a really really good photographer, and it's like I'm reliable, this and that. So I'm playing the game based on certain rules, and I'm playing the game the best I could be,
Yeah.
to the point where it's like, dang, like Marvin, he's really good. You
Yeah.
should hire him
Mhm.
because he has a good track record of being good.
Yeah.
So slowly and surely, it's just each and every single one. It's just, people. I would create business deals and partnerships with people, and then they would go ahead and then recommend me to others, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. Mizzy Me was the one who recommended me to Sneaky, and
Oh.
then so it's like, Sneaky was, or yeah, Esther, Sneaky's girlfriend.
Yeah.
She was looking for a photographer.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, do you like Mizzy? Do you know anyone in LA that I could go ahead and shoot that could shoot sneaky. And Mizzy was like, Marvin's my main photographer. He shoots my photographer every single month, and he
Yeah.
always delivers. And then, you know, that's from there on. It was just history.
No, most definitely.
Yeah. So I built up my way all the way there. I didn't go like, hey, I didn't scout out Sneaky and be like, hey, Sneaky, I can do this for you, this and that. It was solely majority of my models is through word of mouth.
Yeah, because the cool thing is that what is it? I genuinely feel like this is a complete non sequitur, but I genuinely feel that when Justin came into like the cosplay photography scene, it just jumped the skill for like everyone like wanted to power level really hard. Like when it came to like him showing up, and then like you power leveled. I like my mission was to be the guy that didn't suck in that group. like it wasn't like it wasn't like I was trying to be the best. It was like I didn't want to be the whack dude in that crew. I just didn't want to be last. But when it came down to it, Justin has this really cool thing where, like, in order to get clientele, rather than like focus on numbers on social media, if people could tell good stories about you, that will land you more gigs and more long lasting like partnerships than like say your numbers, So like the fact that
I can attest to that.
Yeah, so like the fact that Mizzy me like vetted you to Sneaky's girlfriend, like that like I feel like that is like a key thing. Like you genuinely speaking, like your professionalism and like how you conduct yourself with people on a client basis is phenomenal. Like
thank you.
I've seen it only a handful of times, but like you're very cordial, you're very professional, and I dig that. When it comes to it, like there's this thing about being successful with cosplay photography, and you're definitely in that category of like has like made a good living off of it, like if you don't want to go into it, like let me know, I could edit this out, but
sure thing.
But like most cosplay photographers, they take pictures and it's like a flat rate for a model. You've created a business model where it's sustainable for you. Can you explain how that works? And like
so this is the full story why I became like how I became a full-time photographer, right? Okay. In terms like cosplay photographer, really.
Yeah.
So the thing is that in my head, it's just at that time everyone was shooting on their own, or everyone has their own photographer to shoot with already.
Yeah.
I'm not. As a beginner photographer, right, I knew that I couldn't shoot with Jessica Negri. Absolutely, like no way. I wouldn't be able to shoot with Elizabeth Rich. I wouldn't be able to shoot with anyone, right? Because I didn't have that portfolio. I didn't have that sense of like, hey, I didn't have that sense of trust or track record.
Yeah,
that's the word. Yeah, I don't have that sense of track record. So in my head, I'm just like, okay, well, what can I do? How can I put myself more out there?
Yeah.
And it goes back to that idea that there's a certain levels that needs to be played, right? So I'm just like, okay, well, no big names is going to shoot me. I'm just going to go ahead and put in all my time and effort building big names.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm just like, I'm going to find, like, I found Gabby, Alyssa, and Angie, right? There were like less than 1,000 followers, each one of them.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just like, from here on out, we're gonna start shooting every month, right? And I'm gonna go build you guys up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and develop you guys, or I'm gonna build you guys up, and then provide you guys consistent photos.
Yeah.
So you guys can rise up, right? And then to the point where like my only kind of favor to ask eventually once you guys are up is that you guys could pay me my full rate.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not sure your philosophy in terms of like me having my like standard rate.
Yeah.
How did you think my business was run?
Okay, so because like what is it? here like the way I thought it was is that you built up their Patreons and their OnlyFans,
Mhm.
and then like yeah like you're taking a cut as like as a manager for for these accounts, and then like that's how you generate income
Oh
for
yeah,
them. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. So it was definitely there was a percentage,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it was a percentage, and then for the most part, it really like in my head, I'm just like, hey, I'm building this Patreon with you guys. It's a percentage cut, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point where it's like, if you're making so much, there's actually a limit.
Yeah.
There's a there's a limit. So you're right when it was when people do percentage based, right?
Yeah.
Like it was definitely or sorry, you were right when I was doing percentage based, and you were right when people were charging a flat rate,
Yeah.
right? But for me, it was such a different thing because it's not just photography. It's not just like, hey, I hire you for photography, that's it, one done and go. Like I don't there's nothing like there was nothing about that.
Yeah.
Like as in once we're done with photography, it was just that's it. But for me, it was different. I had three girls that I wanted to build up right from the very start.
Yeah.
This is a business partnership, right? I'm gonna do everything in my power, coach you guys as much as I could
Yeah.
to get your numbers up. And guess what? All their numbers went up.
Yeah.
All their at that time it was definitely like it set their foundation to where they are now. And
Yeah.
um,
Because
mhm.
you've you've developed like a cosplay agency,
Mhm.
if I may say, like
That's
it's
essentially what happened.
yeah, exactly. So like it was like that business model it was so new. Cuz like
Yeah.
the it was like a perfect storm. It was like your drive ambition,
Hmm.
Patreon, and then Ali, Gabby, and
Angie.
Angie, like they they were there, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. Because like I met Angie when she was at like what, like 1700, 1400, like
Yeah.
because like the way we because the way I met Justin and Dom was I was actually like Angie's like handler for her like Daisy shoot with them,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, that's when the first time I met Angie too.
yeah, so like it was like it was weird because like
Sorry,
no,
that's not when the first time I met Angie. It was the next event that they did.
yeah, exactly,
Mhm.
like what was it, and then like what was it, seeing that growth, there's a
Mhm.
genuine care, and there's the genuine like what was it, there is this genuine what was it, hard work that comes into building their platforms, because you're not just taking the photos, you're managing their
Oh yeah,
Patreons, their Instagrams, their
yeah.
like, and you've built brand names, like all three of their brand names, and then you added more names to that brand, and then to the point where
Hmm.
Squarenoodles wasn't just the photographer,
Hmm.
he was like,
Everything else.
yeah, he was like he became like an agency owner in a way.
Yeah. I, in a sense, it's more than just an agency. It's
Yeah.
more than just like, look, your goals are my goals now,
Yeah.
right? My business platform runs on the idea of accommodation.
Mm-hmm.
That I've said that before. It's just that if you need something and I can make it easier on you, I will do it, right? You need a handler, I can be a handler for you when no one's handling,
Yeah.
right? But if I can't handle for you, I'll go ahead and hire someone to handle for you,
Yeah.
right? Or if you want a driver because you don't want to go ahead and drive around LA because LA traffic sucks, I'll drive for you
Yeah.
while we're doing shoots. I can do that for you.
Yeah.
When you need someone to fulfill your packages for Patreon, you don't have to do it. I can do that for you.
Oh
So
shit.
yeah, dude, yeah, I did everything. I
Yeah.
did everything that I needed to do in order to have my models be successful.
Yeah.
That's and yeah, I'm still doing that now. I'm still doing that for Angie. I, you know, I'm still doing that for Mariah. I'm still doing that for Miso, or
Yeah.
not Miso, for Mizzy,
Yeah.
right? And it's like it's the idea that look, whatever you need to be successful, I'm there.
Yeah.
Because when if you go up, right, the only thing I would ask is that you take care of me, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm taking care of you now, right? In the end, it's more like I'm investing my time and effort on you because I believe in you.
Yeah.
I believe that you're gonna be successful someday, and even if it takes 15 years, that's okay,
Yeah.
right? Because that's our goal. It's a lifetime goal at this point.
Yeah.
And it's people weren't about that. People they just want to be like, I want to shoot, I want to get paid a lot, and then dip,
Oh, most
right?
stuff. Yeah. Because
Right?
like the the one thing that I'm it's sad to see, and it happens all the time, is like because like there is like this moment where there like when Patreon first came on, like there was a lot of backlash,
Oh
and
yeah,
like and it
absolutely.
was like, oh, you're selling yourself, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But like, what is it? When it became a viable business method, and women were getting X amount of money for
Mm-hmm.
for for um for like basically body empowerment, like
Mm-hmm.
doing all that, like
Right.
they're like, okay, I'm gonna start my Patreon, and then like the the amount of people that tried starting Patreon but they didn't want to do the work that the footwork that was required to do like a business venture like that, like it's a lot.
Yeah. A lot of people think it's like, oh, like I have a sexy body and like I'm gonna make so much money. I'm like, there's so much that goes on into like running a Patreon in terms of having your body as a selling point.
Yeah.
It goes beyond that. You need to be able to present yourself in a way that, fun, motivating, inspirational.
Yeah.
You need to be you need to be all that, not just your body, because in the end, it's like it's there's no connection.
Yeah.
In the end, you need more than just selfies. You need, you know, great photos of you. You can't be, if your body is presented, like you may have a great body, and it's like you may have a great cosplay, you may have a great whatever business it is, right?
Yeah.
But it's presented poorly, no one's gonna buy it.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
like this is why product photography is a thing, because you have to be able to show the best of your product to the general public, you know, the best way you can. You
Yeah.
have to show your product the best way you can to general public in order for it to be appealing, right?
Yeah. And the cool,
And
okay.
yeah,
The cool thing that I see that though is that like when it comes to you, it's like the square noodle, like the Loodles, like it's very
yeah,
it's very family based. That's a cool name. like
yeah.
like
Hmm.
Loodle will ever forever be one of my favorite
Yeah.
like nicknames for anybody. But
Hmm.
when it comes down to it, you're very much like you have a genuine care for these girls, and it's not just like it's not like you're like, okay, this is the end product. Like you have a business mind, but there is like this empathy that comes with it, that you
Hmm.
see it in your interactions with them. Like
Hmm.
you would drive to LA to like you would
Yeah.
do fulfill and all that. So like
Hmm.
it's very much like like where the animosity came from was like people misunderstanding like that business model, you know?
Oh yeah, no, there was a definitely big misconception. They like people like think that I was taking money off these girls.
Yeah.
I'm abs. If there was one thing, I was like, if you ask every single one of my models, I've always just undercharged myself.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm not sure like which model would tell me that like, oh yeah, Marvin's taking my money. I 100% would believe that all my models feels that my services is worth it.
Hmm.
It's worth more than the cut that I'm getting.
Yeah.
You can vouch for any, like, even you can vouch for anyone, even now, like certain some of my rates, right? Like I've grown to be outside of that,
Yeah.
right? I've grown to the point where it's like I can't afford to give you this much of my time anymore
Yeah.
for this amount. I'm sorry, like I'm past that. It's just
Yeah.
like it's like I can't do that anymore, unfortunately, because it's just like I'm, it's like I have so much excitement in the beginning. I have so much vigor. I have so much strength to do all this. I have dreams, I have vision, but I can only be that way for so long,
Yeah.
to the point where like I start to break down, and then I need to start thinking about myself,
Yeah.
right?
Most definitely.
There's times where my models would ask me, I was like, hey, can you give me the set, like the next day, and I have 20
Oh,
other sets to do,
yeah.
right? And then I'm just like, cool, you need it tomorrow, you have it. No, like rush charge, no nothing. You
No,
know,
I
whose photographer is gonna do that for you?
that was that's the thing because like now that you've grown, and that you've basically like in the beginning it was like, yo, like invest in me now. I'm a work. I'm gonna. It's like the stock market. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
buy me now because I'm gonna be worth a lot later. And then like
Yeah.
and then like it ends up being like Tesla, where like you were like the Tesla.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you were like the Tesla of like 2016. We're like, he has potential. And then like 2020 hits and you're like, fuck, he's like at 2K a
No.
share. Fuck.
Yeah. Here. I don't want to like kind of. I wear this with like a pride, like you know, you know, with a sense of pride. Right?
Yeah.
I can genuinely say that for all the models that stuck by me, like every month, like partnership, right?
Yeah.
They're like, I like the models that I have now, like on a monthly basis, right?
Yeah.
They can all vouch that I've made them money
Yeah.
one way or another. I've grown their business. Um, I, as much as, like again, that sounds like bragging. It's like, fuck, like, sometimes it's like, it's hard for me to just
To dial it back.
like, yeah, like it's hard for me to just be like, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say those things because it's like, it's in the end, it's all the models work anyway,
Yeah.
right? But sometimes I have to just be like, yeah, like, I don't, like, in my head, sometimes I think about it. It's like, can these model reach the place that they needed to reach if I wasn't there to accommodate them,
Yeah. Because
right?
yeah.
Because in my head, it's like it's hard for me to be like take credit because that's just I do my best not to take it because
Yeah.
it's just not me.
Yeah.
I just do my work, right? I just do what I think is right, and then if people benefit from it, great. But at the same time, it's their decision to work with me,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
In the end, that's all their credit. It's like they made the right choice working with me. All I'm doing is I'm just doing my best to just provide for them, right?
Yeah.
In the end, it's their success, it's their decisions, right? But yeah, it's in the end, it's like they're giving me credit for their success. So I'm just like, feels nice just to take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
feels
Well,
nice to just be like, oh, like I'm the reason why it's like that. Cool. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy that I can provide service for you that way, right? And it's hard sometimes. It's like I don't even like even now me saying that. Oh, like having like taking credit for it. It's just like it feels so uncomfortable
yeah.
because I shouldn't even be saying that.
No, but it's one of those things where like a testament of this is like, what is it? I'm happy because like Angie is actually gonna be popping up on Friday, so like I'm gonna be interviewing her then, but like seeing
Oh
her,
yeah.
yeah, seeing her Instagram post of like bringing Louis V bags to her parents, like that is some shit. Like that is dope.
Mm-hmm.
Like having her go from like should I quit my makeup job to pursue
Mm-hmm.
cosplay to bringing
Oh
Louis V
god.
bags
Yeah.
to her parents, like the
Mm-hmm.
testament to your work is there, you know.
Yeah. Angie's actually been one of the models recently that has just been like really, really, really paying attention to my business advices.
Yeah.
And man, it's paying dividends for her.
Yeah.
She's doing such a great job on all her platforms, and like I'm more than happy to um, I'm more than happy to just give people free advices, free business strategies, and all that if it means that they're gonna use it. And
Exactly.
Angie's been the one who's just been putting out all my advices and strategies put into action. As
Yeah.
in, Angie's been like just good. If you look at Angie's OnlyFans now,
Yeah.
she's popping. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
she's like in the like the 0.18 tile, like up
she's
there.
1.12 now.
Yeah, 1 2. Oh shit. Okay, so like
Yeah.
she's getting there, man. Like
She's gonna break that point 1 soon. She's gonna be like 0.09 by the time this month is done.
yeah, by the time this podcast airs.
Imagine, man, I could
Yeah.
only wish.
Exactly, but like when it comes to it though, like there's this like transition that you're going through, like
Mm-hmm.
there's a because like when it comes to being a photographer, it's very much
Mhm.
like you're behind the scenes, you're behind the camera,
Mhm.
and even with your business model, it's you were the manager, the the manager of this account. You're the front facing thing, but you're doing you're actually becoming a front facing individual now with your new podcast.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah,
I'm doing my best.
yeah.
You know.
With your new podcast, Soju Bomb with Senpai Scott Kim and Anthony, and tell me how that started and what you guys want to do with that.
Really, it was just like over a dumb post. We actually made an episode about that of like how it all got started. I think it's the very first episode.
Yeah.
And it was just like, man, we made a post. Like it was over a random Facebook comment.
Yeah.
Anthony was just like, we should make a podcast. And I was just like, well, I talk a lot. And Kim's like, I talk a lot too. And then Anthony was like, well, I guess it's going to happen. Anthony messaged me the next day. I'm just like, great, I'm actually serious about this. Like, I want to go and like start a podcast. I'm just like, I don't see the problem with it.
Yeah,
you know, I don't see the problem with it. And now it's, you know, we're up and running. It's more of a hobby for sure. It's more of just like for us to just reconnect, talk about how we feel, invite guests over just to have fun.
Yeah.
And that's really just what it is. It's not meant to be like a business thing. We're not making it that way.
Yeah.
It's just really just us to just connect. We're just us to catch up. It's more like like we always call it, it's like a therapy session.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing it for. And I it's so great because we don't have to worry about numbers. We just want to produce the best quality podcast we can.
Yeah.
So that way people can enjoy, people can have laugh. I don't know, like the latest one we released was Mizzy's. That's so fun, guys. So like quick plug.
Yeah, do it.
You guys please, like I was watching that in the middle of like middle of the night.
Yeah.
And I was just cracking up. And it's my podcast, you know. I knew what happened already. And just watching it, that's, you know, it's like I feel so strongly about it. So watch Mizzy's episodes, but please, we have so many episodes coming out. Yeah. And we're just excited for this podcast.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I did use the one where you that you said your backstory on like when you came to America and whatnot, and like I watched that one, but I saw that you guys did an episode, like 2 episodes with Richie. Oh my god, I want to watch that because that like
that's funny.
Yeah, because
that was great.
Because my foray into cosplay convention parties was through Richie.
And that like, guy's parties hard.
Yeah, he parties hard, and it's like one of those things where like he'd be like, "Hey Ray," and like he'd be like in this mob of chaos around him, and he'd be the calmest cat, and then like he would have like a weird photo project in the bathtub, of, like it would be like waffles and syrup or some shit, and I'll be like,
yeah. Oh god. So here's a quick story with Richie, right? Yeah. Richie's actually my inspiration. You know how you were saying like, hey, you know, Marvin, like 1 a.m. and just like be as loud as you can. It doesn't matter if we shut down.
Yeah.
Right. Richie is actually the inspiration for that. Because to this day, Richie I've been to a lot of good parties, right?
Yeah.
Richie threw the best party I've ever been into, and it only lasted 2 hours.
Oh.
So he started at 8 o'clock, got shut down by 10. Literally, as soon as I got there, 30 minutes later, I had the best party. I was like, oh my god, this is lit. There's a DJ, there's like whatever, like people, oh dude, they were just lit, right?
Yeah.
And then 10 o'clock, it was shut down. But, you know, I still talk about it to this day. You know, it's just the best party I've ever been to. I've only been there for 30 minutes, the best.
Exactly.
But, you know, the same thing for me. Like, if I'm going to go ahead and throw a party, I'd want it to be, like, memorable, even though it was a short time.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, most definitely. And it's one of those things where, like, it coincides with your personality of, like the business mind and whatnot, but then, like, it's, like, the people person and the host mentality.
Oh, yeah. I work hard and I party hard.
Yeah,
That's the motto, man. It's like, I want it to be, like, I want to enjoy my success. That's what it is. Like, you know, I made a post last night. I just sitting in my middle, like, in my living room, and it's just like, yeah, it's nice. It's nice to just like enjoy it. You know?
Exactly.
It's like, man, whether that just be partying, eating good food, like, yeah, it's definitely. Well, I need to do that more. Like, 2 years of hard work without like super enjoying it, man, it takes a toll on you, and you just want to be able to appreciate life.
Exactly, and I wish you nothing but like even bigger and better success moving forward. You know, man.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's always a pleasure watching you like grow and like and do the things that you're doing, man. Like I
Mm-hmm. Right. This is gonna be like my anchor, right?
yeah
And like I don't talk about my 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 private dealings
yeah
in public, and this podcast is gonna be public, right?
yeah
But I can assure you, 2021, right?
yeah
2021, 2022, right? Not sure, but within 2 year time frame,
yeah.
right? Will be in a level you never thought we would be, and
Mm.
that's the only thing I could say. And like I'm gonna use this as an anchor. Once I go ahead and like make it happen, I'm gonna refer to this podcast. I'm like, I said it here. Like I said it here.
Yeah, you heard it here
Yeah.
first.
You heard it here
first,
first.
folks.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Like, thank you for coming on. It was
Right.
definitely a pleasure. Like catching up
Mhm.
and like seeing the success and
It was-
where you're projected to go, man. This is fucking dope.
Oh, thank you for having me, Ray. I was so hyped this morning. It's just like I was like a little sleepy, but like fuck, like I really want to do this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then,
So
but other than that, tell the people where they could find you.
yeah. hmm
Uh,
So I'm active on all my social medias: Twitter /Squarenoodles, and then Instagram /Square_Noodles.
Yeah.
So yeah. Soju Bomb TV,
Mm-hmm.
and then Soju Bomb podcast on YouTube. Oh man, like please look forward to like our future episodes. And then yeah, I'm very inactive in terms of posting, but
Yeah.
I'm very active in DMs because that's how I like communicate with people in general, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Ray, I appreciate you so much having me in your podcast, man. I
Yeah.
can't wait to have you visit, or I can't wait to see you like in person.
Yeah, most def, man. Seriously. And
Yeah.
like, comment, subscribe. Check us out here at Rem Creative to Creative episode 9. Signing out. Take it easy, guys.
Peace.